give up, don't give up, don't give up, don't give up your day job.
Yes, yes, people. Welcome to Don't Give Up Your Day Job with me, James,
And me, Joey.
a.k.a.
The Bone Brothers. That weren't cheesy at all, was it?
We've got to set up a podcast, haven't we, brother?
Well, let's tell them what it's all about.
Well, first and foremost, I mean, fucking hell, you know, the setup is looking amazing as possible. We've stuck a little cloth up on the wall and we've got our very own canvas. Don't give up your day job. Essentially, over the next few episodes, we're going to be talking to loads of random guests, talking about all the things that they've done in their own journey to getting somewhere close to doing the things that they love the most.
I mean, yeah, basically, we all have to go to work. That's bottom line. You know what I mean? And if you can actually love what you do, you're never going to work a day in your life, as the old saying goes. So
Not strictly true. I think I think there's plenty of people doing what they love that still have a fucking hard day's work, but minimise them as much as possible.
The point is that pretty much, unless you've won a lottery, everyone's got to go to work.
Yeah,
so everyone talks about work. It comes in that you go to the pub, you end up chatting about work.
100%.
So we want to find out how people have got where they are today. Yeah. Are they enjoying it? Everyone's had a nightmare day. There's a story in that, without a doubt, and everyone's had a fantastic day. And there's a story in that. So this is what we're going to find out with a bit of our own intros and stuff that's happened to us for our careers.
I think some of the thing that binds people together so much is fucking talking about work or having a rant about like a shit day that they've had.
Without a doubt.
But also, above all, trying to find something in life that, you've got a passion that you can pursue. And if you can earn a living out of it, all the better.
Mate, I mean, you've hit the jackpot.
But the best stories are the ones that are the people that are on that journey, because you realise how hard they've had to work to get there. All the fucking knockbacks, bloody hell, we've had a few ourselves, don't worry about that.
Yours mainly with women.
I don't know.
I've done a lot about that.
Let's not go down that route. but essentially, like, fucking hell, everyone's got a story about where they're at in life, where they want to get to. Do you know what I mean? I think that is such an interesting topic. And obviously, over the last few months, we've had a bit of a mad journey ourselves. So it just seemed like the perfect time. What do you do when you've been on a TV show? Well, if there ain't another TV show, you definitely set up a fucking podcast, didn't you?
Yeah, well, everything's a podcast now, isn't it? You know what I mean? Like, I chat down the pub.
The social status used to be what car you drive. I think now it's have you got a podcast.
100%.
You know what I'm saying? But I think we should, before we go into any detail about what we've done, jobs in the past and any guests that might be coming on, I think we've really got to talk about the experience that we shared together on 007 Road to a Million. If you haven't seen it, it's still streaming and will be forever on Amazon Prime. Such a bloody mad experience, mate.
Mate, let's start from the start, I suppose. Good a place as any. Yeah. I got a phone call from a guy off the back of the other show I did.
And how long ago? I mean, how long ago was that? That was like fucking talking 18 months ago now that we started filming.
Easily.
Yeah.
Easily. The weather has definitely changed. But yeah, as I was saying, I got a phone call. Would I be interested in doing another show? I need a partner. So, after racking my brains, took me a while. I came up with my bro Jimmy. And yeah, we did a few little, meetings with the crew at 72 Films and whatnot. And then we got a phone call to say they want us in it. We found ourselves in the Scottish Highlands.
Literally a few weeks later, wasn't it?
Last summer, though,
no,
wasn't it?
No, because obviously, what we in that, so the show came out November 2023. We started shooting.
Well, yeah, last summer, June.
But we started shooting in Scotland the year before that, 2022.
Was it that long ago?
Yeah, fucking, you've lost a year, you nutter.
Jeez.
Yeah. No,
well, time flies when you're having fun.
Yeah, mate, tell you, but that's what I mean. It was like, it's been an absolutely mental couple of years. Like, I found out, I got the call that we were going to be on the show the day I came out. Literally, I had a missed call. I've finished recording my debut album. I had a missed call. I came out of the studio and they were like, "You're on the show if you want it." It was like the fucking universe.
You were phoning me, and I was having a nightmare on the golf course probably, because that's usually what happens
Sounds
to me.
about right.
But yeah, I'd missed a few calls, and then you were like, you need to phone this lady back, which we did, and there we go. And you know, jumping forward, as we said, we started in the Scottish Highlands. Beautiful place, by the way. If you haven't been, try and get there.
Fucking crazy.
And we didn't know what to expect.
No.
We didn't have a clue what to expect. I mean, obviously, if you've seen the show, you've seen what it's like. But, you know, we were thrown in at the deep end in scenarios that we're not used to.
Yeah.
To try and win £1 million.
And obviously, you had this kind of. Yeah, I mean, first and foremost, let's fucking break it down. We had the chance to win £1 million, which we didn't win. Hence why we've sort of got a slightly creased backdrop here and that sort of stuff. But we done well. We won a little bit of money. It was just such an amazing fucking opportunity all round. And we just didn't know what was happening. Like we got there was a subtle James Bond theme in the background.
Yeah, that ramped up as the show went on.
But really, you're kind of thrown in at the deep end. You have to do these challenges. Like, as I say, we got to Scotland in the Highlands. It was June, but Scotland in the Highlands, you're experiencing every season in one day.
4 seasons in one day.
We got drenched, and then 10 minutes later, we had sunburn.
Yeah.
And we done that. We nearly went out on the first question.
Yeah, you were overthinking that just a little bit.
Well, I mean, that was like. That was the most nerve-wracking period of the whole scenario, even when there was more money riding on it. It was a question about Macbeth. I've got a degree in English literature. I spent 10 years tutoring English to school children and university students. If I get this wrong, there's going to be about 100 parents calling me up asking me for their money back from what they spent on their kids. And we managed to get through that one. That was in the June. Next up, we went to Venice.
Yeah, City of Love. You know, Hayley, she'd love me to taken there, and I ended up taking you. Yeah. So, you know, what can I say? We'll get there one day, babe.
You got your priorities, right? And then, like, obviously incredible, and then just fucking, that's when it ramped up a bit. We got out to Brazil, we got to Jamaica. Like
places that I never thought I would be going to. You know, you've done a bit of travelling, but, you know, this to me was... like rolling back the years, you know, this was like me doing a little bit of travelling, like having a little bit of a gap year. But the fact that it was, you know, all paid for, and there was the bonus of winning money every round you went through was a dream come true, and you know, life-changing experience. Even if I don't want to sound corny or you know, a big cliche, but. Even if we hadn't won any money, like the experiences we had were second to none, and just I'm eternally grateful to, again, like I say, Prime, Amazon, Eon, and 72 Films that you know they've certainly changed our lives and given us experiences that we're never ever going to forget.
100%. No, like you know, you couldn't even the best script that you tried to write. I don't think we could have put that sort of stuff in there. Do you know what I mean? I was saying, like, you know, talking about me doing a bit of travelling back in the day, like when I went to Brazil as like a 25-year-old, I had like minimal money. I was staying in. I mean, it was great, but you're staying in fucking dormitories with about 100 different people in the same room. Do you know what I mean? Just another world, like spending that night in the Amazon together, like it was quality. Obviously climbing Sugarloaf Mountain on TV forever, which we're happy about.
I mean, look, we were in speedboats. That I mean, we'd shared a speedboat that Brad and Angelina have sat in. George Clooney, you know, and they found 2 boys in from Sutton. Do you know what I mean? It was look, like the guy who drove the speedboat. What a legend he was.
He was a character.
Marino, wasn't it? Played total playboy. We used to like drive race cars, and you know,
about 80 years old.
He about 80 years old. Looked about 40.
I think that's what that show gave us, and I guess in a lot of ways,
helicopters we were in.
A lot of ways, even why we've come on and decided to do this, like just the opportunity to. One of the great things about life when you think a little bit outside the box, or you get opportunities to do things, is just as well as the experiences you're having, just the way you come into contact with all these random different people that are just doing their own journey as well.
It's just also, you know. We've had an opportunity, and loved it, and that to me has just given me an incentive to try and, you know, grab it with both hands and speak to other people that have done the same sort of thing. built their careers up, worked through the ranks, but they could have been worked in a factory and ended up becoming the MD, something like that. There's a story in everything, and it's the laugh and the crack and the hard times that they've had along the way that we want to find out and bring to life in this pod.
That's it. I think 100%. I think over the next few episodes, it will very much be us kind of interrogating, asking people about their own journey. Because I certainly don't mind asking a question.
Well, you've been doing that since you was a kid, didn't you? Like you come in from work.
Finally, it's coming to play.
You'd have a full like the Spanish Inquisition as you're sitting down trying to eat your dinner.
Well, mate, listen, literally, like if you could summarise, if I could talking about doing the things that you love, right? If I could summarise like my ideal living, it's like making music, which I'm doing. Drinking tea and having a chat. Do you know what I mean? if there's a way of making that work, then happy days.
I mean, yeah, it worked for me. I mean, I'm not a tea drinker. This is gin, actually. No, it's not. But I'm on the tools or driving a cab, so slightly different way. But I've got the kids, Cara and Hattie. Obviously me and Hayley. It's just going out, having a laugh. Spending time with these, and this is a new thing to me, this social media stuff and the chat. But I'll be honest with you, I fucking love it.
Yeah,
do you know what I mean? And listen, I don't like the sound of my own voice, but I do like a chat. Well, God, that pots and kettles stuff.
Yeah,
pots and kettles.
I ain't denying it, mate. No,
Let's hope that other people like it.
What I would say is I think. We won't talk about the show forever, but what that show really did give us, it was on the back end of COVID that we started filming that. I think, everyone, COVID almost seems like a distant memory now, but during that sort of period, no matter who you are, no matter whether you're like a generally quite upbeat person, which I think we both are in our own way, we have our moments like anyone, but I think everyone went through that experience around the world, and it changed everyone in some way. Do you know what I mean? There's no doubt it didn't. Like without question. And there were certainly periods at that point. Delphine and I were living together, but you start to really feel like you go from kind of quite enjoying your own company to feeling like quite isolated. Yeah. And you're like, there's a world out there, but you're not part of it again. And that show came at a point where it was like the perfect time to just put the keys back in the ignition and fucking start grabbing life again.
Reboot.
Do you know what I mean?
Total reboot.
And I can never put into words. Obviously, listen, we won some money, which is incredible. I can never truly put into words what that meant for just do you know what? It just reminded you, life is there to be fucking lived. Like we're in a fortunate position in where we are in the world, even living, that we can. If you want to try things, if you want to do stuff, you can do them. Do you know what I mean?
We've got to be realistic that we're in a hard time. You know what I mean? Money's tight for everybody. So if you are able to, do something that's out your comfort zone, but you haven't got to spend money, go and climb a mountain. You know what I mean? Or something like that. Go and start, do a 5K, do a 10K, do stuff with your kids. That is different. To change it up, because that mundane,
that's the monotony,
that
isn't it?
mundane monotony of the grind, the 9 to 5 or the 8 till 4 or longer, that can get you down. And just changing up slightly, a change is as good as a rest, they say. Just flick it out, and you never know. You might find something that wants to boost another career. Take you something else. Might earn you some money, which would be the dream. But just make something that makes you feel good.
I think just to ask yourself, which we've done, in more recent times, but certainly we try to at different points in life as well. Ask yourself what truly makes you tick. What are the things that, what are the things you're passionate about? And like you say, if they can become something else, brilliant. But just do them. Do you know what I mean? And it kind of brings us on nicely to the I guess the theme of the podcast as a total, don't give up your day job, because we've certainly had a fucking few roundabout turns in our years of working out exactly what the fuck we're trying to do with our lives, or something certainly ain't going right, and it's definitely culminated when looking at this podcast, how we started it. No wonder I just think back now. Well, no wonder I got back into my late 20s or something, and I just felt completely lost because I was going through the different jobs and that I had, and I weren't passionate about any of them at all.
But,
do you know what I mean?
I mean, when you start out young, you're cutting your teeth, aren't you? You're wanting to find out what you like doing, what you're good at. You know, I went a different sort of route that I thought I hated school. Couldn't wait to get out of there. Now I look back and it's true what your mum and dad tell you. Like, you know, do you know what? You stay there as long as you can because when you get out in a big wide world, it's a fucking struggle. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I left school at 16. Was like, got to go to work. Got to earn some money.
It's such an interesting one though, isn't it? Because like when people like you went to let's have it right. You went to a fucking really good grammar school. Like it's one of the.
I had a slack year that year. I had a slack year that year.
I used to joke with Mum when I lived with her. I was like, was that a slow one? Because it's a top grade. It's one of the best grammar schools in the country.
Without a doubt.
Without question.
Doubt.
Like,
a little nod to Wilson School.
Never got in there myself.
Thanks for everything you've done for me.
Yeah. But you were there, and I think it's important to say, like, because when we go back, all of us as individuals, like, look at the different parts of our own journey and stuff like that. If it was just a straight line of like, oh yeah, you've done it, but at the end of the day, it doesn't suit everyone. Like, different folks with different strokes. You went to a top school, but you struggled. You didn't like it. It affects you.
It was tough, like academically. I went from a school that I was probably, my junior school where I was probably one of maybe the top kids there, with, academically, to a place where I was probably near the bottom, if not the bottom. It's each thing, but eventually you get yourself through it. But again, like I say, I mean, even when I went to nursery, I went to infant school. Mum would say, I would pretend I was ill so that I didn't have to go to school. I just hated it. I hated the authority, the get up in the morning, go to this. I just wanted to be with my mum, really. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Nothing's changed.
Nothing's changed. So, yeah, at 16, I left school, big wide world. I'm going to go and do a carpentry apprenticeship. You know what I mean? Didn't know nothing about carpentry. What's made me want to do that? I don't know.
Do you think that, because I think that's one of the really interesting things about us. Like, was it like seeing? Because I went to a state school comprehensive, bang in the middle. A lot of your mates went there. Bang in the middle, a massive cancer estate. All of my mates, literally, apart from a couple, were at 13 knew that they were going to work with their old man, on the site, or most people do that. And our dad is an electrician and stuff like that. And which is one of the reasons I struggled as I got later into my teens and my early, because I knew I never wanted to do that, but I wanted to find different things. But in a lot of ways, it was the natural course for someone like that. Obviously, I had a creative mind. What was it that made you sort of? What was it that made you sort of? Was it seeing Dad? Was it seeing everyone around you?
I think, yeah, you've probably hit the nail on the head there. Like, I was like, right, I don't. If I was in my head, working in an office was just like a lead up from going from school, that you've left the classroom, you've gone into an office.
I can vouch for that.
I want it to be like, well, at least if I'm on a building site or I'm on the tools somewhere, that you can work how you want and turn up when you want to.
Yeah.
That's totally not at all. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
you are restricted to times. You're working for people. You've got to meet deadlines.
Yeah.
As a 16-year-old, I didn't know that. So when I started realising that I was getting up at 5 a.m, walking through Bedderton Park to get a train from Hackbridge into like Islington, I've never even come out of Croydon. I was like, this ain't a bit of me.
Yeah.
Like, all my mates are still at school lying in bed. Hold on one sec. Like, lying in bed till like 8 o'clock, 8:30. They're working in Asda, Sainsbury's. They're earning more money a month than I am. And I'm just lugging plasterboards up like 55,000 flights of stairs.
With grown men.
With grown men.
Yeah,
and I'm looking around and I'm like, I don't know, I've made a ricket here. Now, looking back on that, I was young enough I could have gone back to sixth form. I could have gone back to college and all that. But the mistake I made was that, well, I'm out now. What am I going to do now? I just stopped going to college. I just stopped, I stopped. I was like that, got pulled into the office. I was like, I don't want to do this. come back, mum and dad are like, what are you going to do now? I was like, I don't know. So dad was like, well, I've got a job on, come and work with me. And that's how I then led into working with dad. And to be honest with you, it was probably not the best apprenticeship because, you know, we were picked up at when he fancied it, and then
11 a.m.
Yeah, and then we was probably in the pub by 2.
And so the story goes.
On the flip side of that, you know, we did do a few big jobs. We got quite a few decent contracts and stuff, and you know, I went to college then, and I enjoyed it and got into it, and that's where, you know, I am now. I've built my own business up. It's just that learning curve.
Did you find, because I just think that is the hamster wheel that so many of us get locked into, though. Like quite quickly, a job just becomes something that you got to do to make money. To fucking at our age at that point, basically go out and get wrecked every weekend.
Well,
do you know what I mean?
Was,
literally, like you're not thinking about something, but it very quickly becomes something from like you know, like at 14 years old. I fucking knew that I wanted to make music and stuff like that, but like I knew that I had a passion for something, but through sort of things not quite happening as they do for millions of people around the world who have got a similar passion, you start going into like, oh, you know, obviously I've got to earn money, and you quickly get into this sort of rut of like doing loads of different things that it ain't you at the end of the day. Do you know what I mean? And that can be like, you know, everyone, it binds people together in the sense that it's the story of most people, but it's not
the rat race. That's what they call it.
It's not what life's about in the long run. I mean, from my point of view, like I got to like 16. I went to quite a rough school, and it was like, you know, had a reasonable level of intelligence. Like, so at the start, in terms of like I was in the top group for everything at the school, but it weren't an academic school. And I remember the first week that I was there, the head of year 7 at the time, we were in like a fucking food tech class or something like that, and she was just asking us general questions. And obviously I'm quite a confident boy, got friends there and all that sort of stuff, but a load of new lads as well.
Yeah.
And she's asking us like questions, and I'm just putting my hand up and answering like, bang, 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 as you do, didn't think anything of it. And then she's like, "Oh, we've got a boff in here."
So you set your stall out straight away.
So immediately, like that's like in the first week. So you're setting your stall out. You're like, well, I'm in a school in the middle of a massive council estate with like a fucking 1,000 kids here. End of the day, school primarily is about survival.
Yeah,
like,
could be tough for you.
Like, you know what I mean? And even then, you're thinking, well, I don't want that tag going through.
Nah.
Like, do you know what I mean? Now I own it, like quite proudly. But at that point, you're like, I definitely don't want that tag. So you've got the sort of reasonably academic side of me, but the other side where I will just have a fucking laugh and mess around and chat shit. So I kind of definitely delved into that side of my personality a lot more to. And don't get me wrong, I had
to not get your head kicked in,
to get your head kicked in. And don't get me wrong, I fucking love school. I had a right laugh with a lot of like, you know, a lot of my mates we're still good mates today. We had a great crack, but actual studying and trying to get the results that you need to do to push forward fucking fell massively short as a result. Like I had to, I left school with the GCSE. I got a double A in English, that sort of stuff, and I basically flunked the other GCSEs that I had to take. And as I say, I weren't going to go on and work on a building site or anything like that. And as a result, I wanted to do music, but I immediately started feeling like, oh, I'm a bit lost. Like some of my friends are going to work on building sites. Good mates of mine that I had from other schools were going to university. I felt like I was in the middle. So I started working. My first ever job was as a dishwasher boy, obviously, like as you do, sort of growing up. Got sacked from that. Then I got a job at Wickes DIY store, and all of a sudden, before you know it, you're there like 2.5 years, sort of thing, which is fine.
Just keep going.
Listen, don't get me wrong, I'm not knocking like it's. I know plenty of people that work great people like that sort of thing, but it weren't something that I wanted to do, obviously, like passionate, and it was really just about fucking around a lot of the time. And I remember it certainly weren't about work. We used to work an evening shift and hide in the fucking rock wall to like avoid having to do any work. And the boss used to like be a right job's worth. So me and my friend spiked his drink with Viagra which was which.
So he had a hard day at
Yeah,
work.
yeah. I weren't particularly sexually active then. I mean, like, so like, back a few years down the line, it would have been gold dust. But you end up sort of doing things that you don't want to do, and then at that point, I decided I got to do something. So I went back to night school, retook my A levels, and that's when I went to uni a bit later on, and started to get my act together. But even when I finished uni, you know, it's strange. I went to work for a media agency directly out of uni, which on paper is like a brilliant little career start. Like, you know, it could be a lot worse. But I just remember kind of what you were saying with your site, like
It weren't a bit of you.
going into the office. The people are brilliant. I'm still friends with some of them now as well. Like, it was a good laugh, you're out and that sort of thing. But it just very quickly felt like very regimented. Like, I'm looking ahead at, like, is this me? This ain't what I want to be. I wanted to travel and that sort of stuff.
So
and
you done what every good man will do and leg it to a foreign country.
Yeah, literally. I literally got told by a mutual. We're going to have Simon Clare on, who's a friend of a guy called Wiggy, who a family friend who was a big dog there, hired me. He said, "Oh, you're doing really well. You got a promotion, like blah blah blah." I said, "That's great. I've just booked a one-way flight to South America," and that was me. And to be fair, one of the best things I ever done, because it kind of, even though I had a few years after that in my sort of mid-20s of like not knowing, fucking struggling for money, basically, you know, back and forth, trying to live in London, back and forth, living with dad and so forth. But I knew that I had to get something going for myself. I knew that I had to work for myself.
Of a learning curve as well, though, isn't it?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You're not sure that what to do, and you know, sensibly, you haven't had a kid early or anything like that.
Yeah.
You know, and you're free. And my advice to people would be that if you're not sure, take a little bit of time out and have a reset. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And think, because you are very easily caught up into a rut.
Yeah.
And, you know, if you have a child, if you take on a mortgage, you are then responsible for someone else, whether it be like a kid, or you've got a massive lump of money wrapped around your head. So, you know, while you're young, if there are any youngsters listening to this, just don't rush into anything. You know what I mean? Just try and think like that. I rushed into loads of things, and, you know, I was paying off credit cards even up till like the age of 30. That I was like, mate, I took that out when I was 18 years old, because everyone, I have a credit card at 18, free money. Before you know it, it's gone. I mean, that's not a news story, but personal experience. You've got to just think like, and I've got two young girls, and I want, you know, I try and give them as much advice as I can. Just do not rush into anything. Don't rush it. You know,
life is long, isn't it? Like, that's. But it is hard to take that on board when you're in your late teens, early 20s, because you know what I mean. Now I'm like, fucking touch when I get to 90, I'll try something new then. Do you know what I mean? But you do literally think when you're 21, 22, if I haven't fucking got myself sorted, I've failed. Like, it's mad.
I mean, I used to knock about with people that were a lot older than me. Do you know what I mean? And I'd see them in relationships. They've had kids, they've got houses and all that. I mean, I was 18. 17, 18, and I thinking, I need to, we need to buy a house and all that. And I was just thinking, but then that backfired to me, because then all I'd done was just go on a smash.
I have definitely seen you in a few states.
Well, you know, I think it stems from, like, because I was working with Dad, you know what I mean? And let's be fair, Dad likes to drink. Yeah. You say he don't, but he does. Yeah. You know, you'd finish work, you'd be in the pub every day. And it just led on for me into like the weekend, and it was constantly, I come in from, well, as you say, let's not go into it too much, but the states I've been in, man, there's photographic evidence all over the place, but not good. That's for another time. Yeah, we've got 100%. Plenty of episodes to chat about that.
Yeah, but no, that's it. I mean, I guess, because I was a young kid then, so I weren't really, younger than you, so I weren't really taking the ball. I guess you are in the pub all the time doing your electrics, and then you got to that point where you just sort of wanted, you just out of nowhere started doing the knowledge.
Well, look, I got to 23, 24, work was, you know, sort of drying up with Dad. It was getting a bit quiet, a bit of a recession on. Didn't know what I was doing, you know what I mean? Like, and it was all about money. Uncle Danny, black cab driver, you know, said about giving the knowledge bash, but it's really, really difficult, which it's the hardest thing I've ever done in my life, I've got to be honest.
Yeah.
But I took to it, and I think that goes back, although I said I've hated school and I weren't, doing that academically well at Wilson's, I did have the ability to take on knowledge. When you go to a good school, you are taught on how to absorb information and retain it. And I've got a good memory, and the knowledge worked for me. You know what I mean? I listen, big props to my call-out partner, Wal. You know what I mean?
Shout out, Wal.
We had a good crack doing it. We treated it like a job, and we got our nut down. And going back into the fact that I didn't have responsibilities of not a mortgage, no children.
Yeah.
It was like we could do it virtually full time. I'd do the odd day's work with Dad. I was living with him at the time.
Yeah.
So cheers, Dad. You say we never say thanks, but
shout out, Dad.
We much appreciated. Couple of days work, bang the knowledge out for 4 or 5 days. Go back to Wal's mum's house, eat her out of house and home, and we done it like full time. We both got out together, and do you know what? When I got in that cab, I never thought I'd pick a screwdriver up again. I loved that job.
Well, that's what. Just not to jump, but you're talking about the knowledge, how you like the learning, because you loved it. You found something that it suited your personality.
Yeah.
Obviously, it's a self-employed job. You ain't got to answer to anyone once you're sorted. Do you know what I mean? I think it starts to come into play.
Tough, but I mean, don't get me wrong. Driving a cab is tough, especially now a lot of restrictions, and you've got to have the incentive to go out there because a lot of my pals say, "Oh, if I was driving a cab, I'd never go to work." And you've got to have your self-motivation to get up in the morning and do that. But it's the best job in the world for me.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, if you're prepared to, get your nut down and do a bit, work hard for 3-4 weeks, have a couple of weeks off. You literally have got no one to answer to. It's only yourself.
You still be doing it now, wouldn't you?
I would
no
go
doubt.
back
I
to
knew as soon as
driving
you did it, as soon as you were doing it, I was like, he's found his fucking.
I would go back to driving a cab tomorrow. Look, I've still got the badge. I'm funny enough, I've got to renew that this year. You renew it every 3 years. And it was a job that I just loved it. I loved it. I met people. Every day is a different story. Literally every passenger's got a different journey, every different story.
You've got a fucking TV show out of it.
I've got a TV show out of it. Yeah.
Shout out Food Junkies.
The first one, Food Junkies, London Live, somewhere on YouTube. And mate, loved it. And leading on from that.
Yeah,
going into what people that I've met and some of the stories, because every cab driver's got stories.
What's your worst one? Go on.
Well, it involves you. Funnily enough, I mean,
I know where this is going.
Not only was I a glorified roadie on a Friday and Saturday night because you just started playing up, gigs uptown with your first band. So I was not only running your instruments up there and stuff. After the show, I was coming back and picking you and Joe Quinn and Grinch and the Taylor brothers and all that. You're all bundling it to the back of the cab. So
you also picked us up. I remember you picking us up from fucking places like Fabric and Ministry of Sound.
Mate, I mean, it was. You do get involved. You
weren't the only one in a few states. Don't worry about that.
It was fun. But going back to the story. So it was Christmas Eve. And you were working with Wiggy, as you'd already said, at the media agency. The arrangement was, look, you were going to go out, have a few beers, and I'll pick you up Christmas Eve. No problem. So, phoned you up. Yeah, we'll be out. So I think you was in Leicester Square somewhere.
I think we were Piccadilly.
Piccadilly, Leicester Square.
Yeah.
So I've pulled up. I'm waiting on Coventry Street, round the back of Leicester Square. Yeah, we're down in a minute. That turns into 10 minutes. That turns into 20 minutes. Turns into half hour. I'm getting taps on the window. You're working. No. I'm now losing dough. So as a cab driver, that's winding you up.
That's your
anyway,
bread and butter.
As we get there, the old mist is falling down. It's a cold night and all that. And then through the mist comes fucking
Batman
Egon Spengler. It was like Batman and Robin. from Only Fools, you know. But I think it was a Ghostbuster and a cat.
Do you know what it was? It was you just fucking. I've just had a flashback. It was a Halloween party.
Was it Halloween?
Yeah, because it was a fancy dress.
I thought
party.
it was Christmas Eve.
It was a fancy dress party, and fucking anyone that's ever works in the city or certainly in advertising, 23 years old, Halloween party, free drink from about 3 p.m.
Total dream.
Like
or nightmare.
3 nights a week. That particular one was a nightmare. Fucking, I mean, you tell it, but basically, it was literally about 8:30, 9 o'clock in the evening.
And you know, as I say, you've come through the mist. He's got his Ghostbuster pack on. You know, you're fully made up in this cat. The old makeup had started running because you was obviously on the beers and the shots and whatnot. You get in the cab. All right, lads. Fucking hell, that took a while. Oh, yeah, right. So you're full of like banter, right? I'm like, all right, come on, then we're going home. Driving around. I'm looking in the back. Everything's all good. Just going about to go over Chelsea Bridge. No warning. You have obliterated the back of the cab. Cab driver's nightmare, mate. Pure projectile vomit all over the shop.
Do you know what?
It was in his laptop. It was all over the partition. He was covered. You was covered. Right? The funny thing was that I've looked around, I've said, like, what the fuck's going on? By the way, this is the first person, I've been driving a cab there for probably coming up for a year. I've never had someone be ill in the cab, right? Never had someone in me. The first person to do it was my own brother.
Yes, I did.
So he's got that claim to fame. And I've looked round, what the fuck are you doing? What's going on? You was like, well, you was going too fast. I went, what?
Nothing
mate,
to do with the half a bottle of tequila. No,
I was absolutely fuming.
Do you know what?
Mate.
I think of all the places. No wonder I don't really drink that much anymore. Of all the fucking places I vomited, it went all inside the air conditioning thing. So it just
You didn't have to keep driving the cab for the following week because so I've gone. Obviously, we're at home then. So the next day, I've taken it to the garage, fully cleaned out. I've had to pay for that. You know, blah blah blah. But because it was stuck in the grill of the heater, it's a cold month. Every time the heater went on, the passengers was like, it smells of sick in here, mate. I want to get out. I was like, this fucking bloke's cost me fortunes. People are getting out of the cab.
Right, that was literally the media agency life. Fucking straight out of uni, minimal work, just on the smash 3-4 nights a week. I mean, you could.
Dream job, really.
I mean, for the 18 months, it was a dream job. It was when I started to realise I actually had to be semi-good at the job. That was when I started coming into trouble. But no, that was fucking. They were funny times. I remember getting home. Well, I don't remember getting home that night. I was absolutely 11. But I woke up in the morning. I was still living at mum's. Woke up in the morning, obviously had absolutely no concept of what had happened the night before. I literally had the imprint of a fucking cat on my pillow with fucking vomit and that around it. It was pretty raw, really. Like,
did you actually make work the next day?
Yeah.
Oh, well, I mean, that's fair enough. That's fair play.
I'll give you an example of like what sort of...
Probably straight back on it.
I'll give you an example of what advertising media life is about. Obviously, Wiggy was like a top dog at the agency like that. Like, he's... In some businesses, you might not have a job to go to the next day. He's told the entire agency. There's about 300 people. I've walked in. I'm new to, like, obviously I've had loads of jobs before that I told you about, but this is like a kind of career type job.
This is the serious
job.
job.
I'm new to the vibe. I'm like, fucking hell. I'm going to get sacked. I've let my family down. I've made Joe look like a wanker as well. Like, what have I done with my life? Like, gone in and also feeling like an absolute dog with a hangover as well.
It must have been.
I've walked in like really sheepish. No one said anything. Like really clear, like really quiet. I'm like, this is the worst fucking moment of my entire life. What have I done? I sat down. Everyone stood up and just gave me a massive round of applause. So apologies for the fucking stench of your cab, but I did get a clap out.
It was like, I mean, look, it's a story, and this is what this podcast is about. It's about the banter and the stories that, I mean, at the time it was a nightmare.
Yeah.
For me,
of course,
not so good for you, and even Wiggy because he stunk of sick and his laptop was fucked.
There was a couple of moments like that in that little.
There's another one that springs to mind thinking about it. I was ringing you, and I pulled round. You was in another bar. This was another separate occasion, and as I pulled round, I just saw you doing the worm. like you was doing the worm in the street with a few people, like a crowd.
That was a
there.
Christmas party.
And I was like,
God,
what
I
the
have such a fuck.
fuck is going
I
on?
should drink more, really. I mean,
Either that, or you should go back and work for the media agency, because what a job that is.
Or go to the Priory. Who knows?
Yeah.
I remember that. Yeah, so that was the Halloween party. That was a Christmas party. You
yeah,
came
well,
in.
mate, yeah, the two moulded into one.
You
Because I
came
thought,
in.
here we go.
You came in and you were just like, what the fuck are you doing? I was like, I'm doing the worm. What else can you
Yeah.
do? No, they were. No, when you rack your brains and you got, I mean, in a cab, you've got 1,001 stories. But
Listen,
we'll talk about them more
for
as we
further
go.
episodes. You know, something's going to come in, and
Yeah.
every cab driver, as I said, has got a million stories. So yeah, that will go through the episodes.
I think, like, you know, and it's important to say. Obviously, we talk about things that we don't want to do and that
Yeah.
sort of stuff. But there are always great stories and
course.
enjoyment and that. Like
Yeah.
that's the name of the game at the end
Without
of the day.
a doubt.
Like getting out there, cracking on. You know, as much as we obviously can talk for England, as it may have become clear to people already, I'm really, really, really looking forward to hearing a little bit more about other people's stories.
Definitely, we've got different genres coming in, people, different industries. Male and female. We've got girls and boys coming on who are going to chat about experiences, good and bad.
Yeah.
That I'm really, really interested in
100%.
listening to. And hopefully they've got a story that's really bad,
Yeah.
and they've got a story that's really good.
Yeah.
And where they've started from, where they are now. I can't wait.
Nah.
I'm really looking forward to
I
it.
think I'm so glad that we've just decided to do this. I think it's a great little bit of crack, and let's just the more and more you can speak to people and learn about other people's stories, it helps you learn about yourself and crack it on.
Of course it does.
Brilliant.
And the just the fact that just trying something new as well, as we touched on earlier on in the episode,
100%.
let's just enjoy it. And my advice to anybody is, just enjoy what you do on a day-to-day basis. You might not change the world, but if you've had a good day, then good stuff. And if you've brought some goodness, some joy to other people during the day, that's fucking good too.
And listen, you're still working as an electrician. I found something that, through the years, I've got my own business as a copywriter now, as well as making music. Like, obviously, I did English at uni. I love my degree. I found something that, as working for myself on a kind of free, that I could do something that I really enjoy writing. I'm passionate about that, and I can earn a living out of it, and it allows me to do other stuff. But the key thing is, whilst we're doing this, we still haven't given up the day job. You know what I mean?
Exactly. Well,
one day we might, but if not, we fucking still gonna have a good time doing it.
Don't give up the day job. It might be we can't give up the day job, but
I think it's very much we can't at the moment.
Yeah,
but
exactly
we're
right.
having a good time doing it. On that note, I think that stuff's so on.
we'll see you next week, I suppose.
Don't give up the day job.
Don't
See you
give up
soon.
the day job, guys.
Cheers, guys. Thanks a lot.
Don't give up. Don't give up. Don't give up. Don't give up. Your day job.